welcome back to my channel. This video is all about packaging cakes. Now, if you run a cake business, mainly an independent cake business, your biggest worry is to get the cake in one piece safely to the customer. And I have developed a way of packaging my cakes perfectly. Now, the market have taller cake boxes available. So some reusable ones, such as some like this, which are nice and tall, which are great. And it's great to transport like a wedding cake in where you don't necessarily need to leave the box there. But when you're sending off a cake to the client and you're not going to get the box back, you don't want a plastic box just to go to waste. You're more likely to use one of these paper ones, which come in two parts, the box part and the lid. And the problem with these is that they are never tall enough, because nowadays we do lovely tall cakes like this. So I've figured out a way of how to present it nicely and make sure that the cake is nice and secure. And later on in this video, I'm also going to explain the best way of transporting them. So, like I said, I'm going to show you how to package cakes using the standard cake boxes. What I like doing is labeling the box with a label of my company. So my company logo is on there, and on the back I put my website details and Instagram, and also some allergy advice. Especially nowadays, we need to be really careful with allergies and allergens that go into cakes. So just to cover my back, I always say that the kitchen contains gluten and nuts. So if I'm doing a gluten-free cake, for example, it may have gluten in. So the label's really important. These are standard cake boxes. Now, the reason why I don't use the larger ones is because they're expensive. I got one, I think, off Amazon recently, and it was great. It was a lot taller. It fit a 3-tier cake in, but it's £6, and these are about £1.50. So I don't want to be giving a £6 box to a customer every time. So what you will need is a standard sized cake box, so the box and the lid, and I'll show you two different sizes. You also want some corner extensions, 4, because there's 4 corners on the box, and they're basically these cardboard corners which we're going to put inside the box to make the box taller. You will also need some acetate. So this is a roll, I think it's florist acetate. You don't need the really thick one like I use for some patisserie items, but this is just going to wrap the whole box. And you will need some tape, and try and get clear tape because it looks the nicest. So the first one I am going to show you is this smaller cake here. Now, as you can see, it's actually on a larger cake board. Now, some people like doing this because when you have a box and you give it to a driver or a courier or something, they don't know how to hold a cake, and sometimes they squish the sides. Once you have the corner extensions in, it's harder to do that because the box is more secure. But a larger cake board just gives that extra room, an extra safety kind of perimeter. So I'm going to get the bottom part of this cake box. Now, this box is 10 inches, so the board is 10 inches, but the cake is actually only 6 inches. And they come flat packed, and they're really easy to put together. So I like to open them up completely and then put together only one side, because you want to get the cake inside. Once it's open like this, you can either slide it in or just place it in like this. Oh, a good thing to note, the cake is cold. It makes things a lot easier and a lot less scary if the cake is cold. And now I'm just going to secure the front. And I always like to make sure that the cake is facing forward so the customer can see it straight away. So as you can see, the cake is too tall, and if I put the lid on, it will just like balance on top of it. So this is where the corner extensions come in. So if you do order these, and I'll put all the links below, and they're all in my Amazon shop as well, you can see that these are pretty tall. I don't like waste, so I've actually cut some down to a smaller size because it's a smaller cake. And all I'm going to do is put 4 of these corners just so it's above the height of the cake, and then the lid can go on, and I'm just going to secure them with a little bit of tape. So there you have the cake inside the box with the corners, and now if I put the box lid on, it should sit really nicely on top and not touch the cake at all. So there is your safety kind of protection. What I also like to do now is just secure the corners to the lid with another piece of sellotape. So now you want to get the acetate, and this is going to give the box a protective layer. You can give the cake to a customer like this, but the sides are open, and you know, if they're going on public transport with it or anything, you don't want it open to public air, especially in London. So I like to protect it with some acetate. So I'm just going to measure roughly, just enough so it's covering the open spaces, and then cut it. And because this box is quite shallow, I'm actually going to give the acetate a trim widthways as well. So now you wrap it up like you would do a present. The only thing to bear in mind is that 2 of the sides are going to have folded acetate. So I like to keep the front nice and clean, just because it's the front. So I'm basically going to make it nice and tight and secure all the edges with some more sellotape. So 1 piece at the front, 1 piece at the back, and now, like I would with wrapping paper, just fold the acetate to the sides. And then just a couple more pieces just to make it a little bit neat around the edges. And there you have a packaged cake, which is tall enough and safe enough. So when it comes to transportation, like I said, it's best if the cake is cold, so it's been in the fridge overnight, preferably, or just for a long time before the client collects it. And then advise the client, if they are collecting, to travel with it on the floor of the car, not on their lap. A lot of people just think that they should hold it, but you're actually knocking it about a lot more. So put it on the floor of a car, preferably on a yoga mat or a non-slip surface. Or if you actually turn the foot mat of the car upside down, it's got grip on it. So that's a little trick for you. So I'm going to show you the taller cake. The reason why I like doing this method is because you can kind of see the cake on the inside. So when you actually give it to a customer, they can see it, rather than just give them a big white box and they probably won't open it in front of you and then get home. So you can actually see the client's face. Anyway, so I'm going to do the larger box. So it's the same sort of thing. I'm actually using a smaller box, but doing it taller. I'm not sure why I didn't put that on a larger cake board. You don't need to. So I'm just going to put this onto the cake board this time. It's because it's taller. I like building the cake board around it. And also, I usually have corners of decorations, and I line them up with the corner of the box so they don't get squashed. So once it's all aligned, I can now build up the box. So this is more obvious that you can't obviously put a lid straight onto it. So we are going to use the full length corner extensions. Now you can see that when I place it directly onto the surface, it's still shorter, so I'm going to have to attach them slightly further up. I like putting them on the inside of the box as well, just because it looks nicer from the outside. And then once the corners are on, you can go on with the lid. So because it's taller, you can see more of the cake. So I actually like doing this a lot more with taller cakes, like I said before, so you can give to the client and they see it straight away and they can see all the inside and it looks really pretty. So I'm just going to secure the lid to the corners, and I'm actually running low on sellotape, so I'm just going to use a white label. You can't really see it because it's white, and it sticks, so it does the job. And like last time, I do the acetate. I will obviously need a larger amount because the cake is taller. So I'll drape it over and cut it. Secure it on the front and the back. And then wrap it up like a present, like we did last time. So there we go, 2 perfectly packaged cakes. Now, this is the way I package my cakes for clients. Cheap boxes, looks pretty. You can even put like bows and ribbons on it if you want. But I've been doing this for a few years now and I've never had an issue with them. I'm sure I'm gonna get comments saying you should do this, you should do that. There's not one way of doing anything. So I appreciate there are more than one ways. But again, this is how I like to do mine, especially because I like the acetate so you can see through as well. I'm sure one day I'll make my own boxes, but until then, this is the most effective and cheapest way of doing so. Like I said, you can get taller boxes. I use them for transporting wedding cakes because I don't want to leave the box there and I can reuse them so nothing goes to waste. Like I said, I'll put all the links in the comments below. In the meantime, please subscribe to my channel, and if you don't already, follow me at Georgia's Cakes on Instagram. If you've got any ideas for other tutorials that you want to see, then comment below. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you very soon.